All right, everyone, if people could take their seats and we'll get the meeting continuing. We'll move on to item 13, the hearings panel report to the council on the City Mall and Oxford Terrace access changes, and the chair of that committee was Anne Galloway.
Thank you. Tēnā koutou katoa. It's my pleasure to present the hearings panel recommendations following the consultations and hearings process on the City Mall and Oxford Terrace changes. Councillor James Daniels and I were appointed to the panel. Councillor Sam McDonald was also appointed but was unable to attend due to ill health. I was elected chair. We met on Thursday the 18th of March at 9:30 a.m. in Chambers. Council officers presented their report and responded to questions from the panel. The panel's questions and staff responses can be read in Attachment A of the report. As you can read in the report, CCC staff began discussions to change City Mall into a shared zone in October 2020, proposing a 10km speed limit for all vehicles and to limit access time for goods vehicles making deliveries. Council considered a report on these proposals on the 10th of December 2020 and approved consultation. Consultation opened on the 18th of January this year and closed 18th of February of the same year. More than 180 leaflets were delivered to businesses potentially affected by the changes. Others were posted to 44 property owners and sent to libraries. Info was also emailed to 195 stakeholders, including the businesses, advocacy groups and residents groups around the city centre. 179 submitters provided feedback. 105 were in support, 59 opposed, 15 did not indicate a preference or had mixed preferences. You will have read the analysis of the views on changing City Mall from a pedestrian mall to a shared zone on pages 156 to 157 of the report. Views on limiting the access of goods vehicles to between 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. daily were contained in points 4.18 through to 4.23. It is important to note that as a result of feedback from the CCBA and individual businesses, that the project team is recommending that goods vehicles can access Oxford Terrace from 4 to 5 p.m. daily, as well as 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. So they listened to the feedback and they responded. The panel heard submissions from Anthony Goff on behalf of the Terrace Limited, Annabelle Turley on behalf of the Unichem Chemist, James Gong on behalf of Mimiso South Island Limited, Paul Lonsdale on behalf of CCBA, and Paul Bonini on behalf of Westpac Central City. The key issues raised by the submitters and which the panel deliberated on are noted in points 6.2 to 6.18 on pages 159 to 160. As a result of the deliberations, the hearings panel agreed to recommend to the council to approve the proposal to change the legal status of City Mall from a pedestrian mall to a shared zone, and to further limit the use by motor vehicles for this proposed shared zone, along with the changes to the existing shared zone of Oxford Terrace as per the recommendations. Additionally, in response to concerns about pedestrian safety and the importance of prioritising pedestrians in this new shared zone, the panel added recommendation 12, which is to request staff to install signage to promote appropriate user behaviour to ensure pedestrian safety in the proposed shared zone. And 13, additionally, the panel requested that staff monitor the effects of the proposed afternoon delivery time and to report back to the Urban Development and Transport Committee after 12 months of operation. In conclusion, I would like to thank the staff for the comprehensive report and work leading up to this, and to invite Stephen Thomas and the team to the table to answer any questions from fellow councillors. Ngā mihi nui.
Kia ora, thank you very much. Now I presume you're going to move that. You're moving the recommendations?
Moving the
and
recommendations.
James is seconding those. So are there any questions? Pauline, Tim?
Thank you. Thanks for an excellent report, Councillor Galloway. Just on the request in number 12 and the recommendation requesting additional signage, what will that say? What does it look like? And I'm just concerned that there are a lot of signs in the central city now.
Yeah, so we've still got to work through that, but yeah, we are conscious of the fact that we don't want to have too many signage and too much street clutter down there as well, because obviously it's one of our premier spaces. So that'll be part of the consideration of how we design those signs and what signs we can use.
Okay, so unknown as yet,
Yeah.
but you're aware of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Correct.
I've got Tim and then Yanni.
So we have issues with some of our bylaws with regards to be able to enforce them. So with regards to the speed limit, whose responsibility is to enforce it, and how will you do it? Because it seems perhaps it may be after the fact, because it's been a while since I've seen a police car down there kind of thing.
Yeah, so most, just about all the moving vehicle violations are for the police to enforce. The only ones that we have delegation to do is bus lane enforcement, so it's for the police to enforce them. Part of it's around getting the design right, I suppose, in this situation. We believe that the design does lend to the proposed speed limit of 10 kilometres an hour. I think you're probably very aware of the environment and the number of people moving through there and the tram going through there. All that sort of limits the operating speeds to the 10k speed limit.
Thank you.
Yanni?
Thanks. I was just interested to read that in terms of the feedback around people that were concerned, just in 4.8, and 4.9, more than half the 59 submitters who did not support the shared zone were opposed to cyclists in the mall because of risk to pedestrians, particularly those who had a disability. So I just wanted to understand what disability barrier-free assessment have we done on this proposed changes, given that that's been a concern that's been expressed.
I think in essence what we're going to be doing by changing the city mall to a shared zone is actually formalising what's occurring currently. As most people probably know, people do cycle through there at the moment, even though legally they shouldn't be. What we're certainly not doing is necessarily promoting it as a cycle route. It's not really a direct link to and from anywhere for cyclists. There's much better and more efficient routes for people to cycle to. If people do cycle through there, they're normally cycling through there as a destination to go to a shop or to go to a premises in that area. So we're not envisaging that there's going to be many more cyclists using the area.
But we've just built a cycle lane on Hereford Street, haven't we?
Yep.
Right. So a cycle lane, sorry. Yep. We painted a line, yeah, and we built one on Chewham Street and St Asaph Street. So I mean, I guess I'm just really concerned. Like, we've had the disability forum, and this was an issue that's raised. So is there anything that we can do to try and improve and enhance the safety of people with disabilities who use this space?
So I think that was one of the things that the hearings panel also raised, and as a result of that, that's why they have their recommendation, I think it was number 12, was around the additional signage, and part of that signage will be, I guess, education to make sure that people understand that pedestrians do have priority in a shared space. As part of this, we're not proposing any major infrastructural changes to City Mall. It sort of is what it is. We think that it lends well to slow speeds, so and does encourage pedestrians to use the area. And yeah, so this is just effectively changing.
Just the second question I had was in regards to 417.17. People generally supported the installation of bollards, which would restrict motor vehicles in city malls. Several said bollards were needed at other access points to stop vehicles entering the mall. Has there been any consideration given to the bollards? I think some of the feedback was concerned around Hereford Street, where we are proposing to put the anti-terror bollards. Is that the bollards that are going to...
Yeah, so I mean, I guess this project's more about getting the restrictions right for Oxford Terrace and City Mall. rather than how they would be enforced. We've just kind of concentrated really as part of this project to get the times right and to get the right type of designation, probably not quite the right word, but the right type of, change it to shared zone effectively.
Right, but in terms of, and I don't know if you've been down there at night, on a Friday and Saturday night, if you see what's happening with taxis and Ubers, and a lot of people just parking in the laneway, is there any other sort of physical measures that you're thinking of to control traffic?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's my understanding that that's one of the ideas behind the Bollard project. In addition to that, we've also, as part of the Hereford Street works, we've installed some parking enforcement cameras to be able to try and change some of the behaviour that occurs down there at night time. A lot of that's around taxi drivers and Uber drivers and other people picking up and dropping off, creating that sort of potentially an unsafe environment. So we do a bit of nighttime enforcement down there in association with the police, but we're looking to use these cameras to do that nighttime enforcement to try and change the behaviour.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I'll open it up for debate. Yanni?
I understand the intent of formalising it, but I am really concerned. I just don't agree that we should be allowing everything to go through City Mall, and I'm particularly concerned around cyclists going through it, especially when we've invested in cycle lanes and cycleways on parallel streets. So I just can't really understand why we'd create the risk without enforcement that a shared space, particularly for people who are disabled or visually impaired or pedestrians. So I guess I have a lot of sympathy for the concerns that people have raised, so I'm not supportive of doing this. I just think we're going to create a risk, and it's not one that I'm prepared to take.
Sarah and then Tim.
Thanks for that, and thanks for all the work on this. I know that there is some concern, and I think that the monitoring will be really helpful, and I look forward to getting that monitoring report back. My feeling is that will be unfounded, and that the perception and the fear that this is going to cause harm won't come into reality. The reality is that in any time where there's lots of pedestrians in City Mall, it's a really unattractive place to bike. There isn't a lot of space, and the tram tracks are there. And I know that through the middle of the tram tracks is the key place that cyclists do bike, and that tends to be first thing in the morning. But there's not a lot of them, and people will prefer to go to other routes unless they're actually going to the shops in City Mall. And we know that there's always lots of bikes parked in that area. The bike racks are almost always full, which is great. But I don't think that the fears are going to turn into reality. There won't be a big influx of cyclists because actually people had no idea that they weren't allowed to bike there right now. So anyone who is likely to bike there is probably already doing it. And there has been no enforcement. We haven't had any reports of incidents, and I think it's going to be fine. But I'm looking forward to getting that monitoring report in a year's time. Thanks.
Tim?
Sarah said a couple of things that were on my mind with regards to cyclists are going through there anyway, and I'm yet to see someone kind of pinged with a ticket. So the positive of this is that we are actually going to put some 10K signs up. Whether they look at them or not, it's irrelevant, because we're actually going to set a standard, which I think is important. The odds of ever actually pinging someone for breaking the 10Ks is probably zero, because they're going faster than you can run. So, but I do think the principle of actually setting a speed is important. We have forever and a day we have had problems at times with delivery vehicles. I am surprised that the last point on number 11 is with regards to delivery or goods vehicles being able any day to do go in there between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. If you look at a Friday or a Thursday, they're actually really busy times for pedestrians when they're going to the market or whatever, or bars, etc. So I'm surprised about that time, and that wasn't picked up. So that's an oddity, I think, that perhaps may have been missed or may have to be reviewed in the future. I will support this, but I just am surprised at that 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week. But apart from that, I will support it, because I do think that we just need to put some structure in there, even though we've spent a hell of a lot of money with regards to the bollards, or looking at the bollards and the trams there anyway.
Aaron?
Yeah, I do support this. I just wanted to comment on the point raised about people. Thanks, Jane. About people cycling in there. I'll go against what Sarah said, and I'm surprised she said not many people will be cycling through there. So I think they should be. I think lots should be, because if you go in the evening, biking around inner city Christchurch early evening is one of the greatest things in the world you can do. It's a stunning city at that time of night. It's quite still often, and I've been in there and gone through with my children and stuff, and I encourage everyone else here to do it. And if you're a bit of a naysayer or never been on a bike, yes, you can have my children and Jake's, once we find them. I'm more than happy to take anyone from around this table for a ride through town, because cycling can be fun. I've got a couple of cool cruiser bikes, and just meandering through that city, and that city mall there should become an attraction. Don't do it fast.
I only
But-
said when there was lots of people around.
Yeah, when there's lots of people around.
That's good.
But yeah, I had to pull you up because you said there wouldn't be many people, and I never thought I'd hear you say those words, Sarah.
When there's
So,
lots of people there,
just-
I was very clear.
Wanted to
Yes,
defensive.
I think there's no need for exchange in the middle of a debate. Thank you for the intervention of the bell. So I've got it's been moved and seconded. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Then that was Yanni voting no. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the hearings panel report to the council on the proposed new mountain bike